Welcome to the HIV podcast. Each week we focus on a person, historical event or pop culture moment linked to HIV and explore the story of what actually happened. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jess, and between us we've been working in the field of HIV for 40 years. Our aim is to get as many people as possible HIV educated.
Hamjambo. Karibu sana kwa utangazaji wa virusi vinavyosababisha ukimwi.
That, Sarah, is Welcome to the HIV podcast in Swahili, so I am told.
Oh, it's quite melodic, isn't it?
It's very beautiful language, I have to say. But again, as we say every week, I don't know why we started this saying, please send us your Welcome to the HIV podcast voice notes, because actually we don't know what you're saying. So we started this and now we don't know if everyone's just insulting the whole world. So apologies. I hope that said Welcome to the HIV podcast. Apologies if it didn't. Okay.
See, as a feature, it's
falling apart like everything we do, Sarah. It's falling apart.
We're just very trusting, aren't we?
Far too trusting. And we don't even look it up. We just go, yeah, I reckon that's what they're saying. Brilliant.
Oh, dear.
Yes. Oh, indeed. Anyway, welcome to International Women's Day.
Yes, and welcome to you.
It's an exciting day as I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers my rant last year from International Women's Day, how I feel about it. I feel like every day should be International Women's Day, you know. But I thought I'd read you some facts, Sarah. Okay. On International Women's Day, don't get me wrong, I do think we should celebrate women, but I think we should celebrate them all the time. A bit like World AIDS Day, shouldn't just be one day. So I actually think I mentioned this last year, but I think it's still just as important. So these facts are taken from the Women in HIV Invisible No Longer report. And it's a report that THT did with Sophia Forum that shines a spotlight on the needs of women affected by HIV. And I just wanted to pick out these key points. So women make up 1/3 of people living with HIV in the UK, yet are left out of research, decision-making and service design and delivery.
Really?
Yeah. Over half of women living with HIV in the UK have experienced violence because of their HIV status. Nearly 1/3 have avoided or delayed attending healthcare in the past year due to fear of discrimination. That's awful.
They're bad stats. I'm not liking this.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. Do you like my hard-hitting voice as well? I don't know if you.
Yes, I do.
Quite a newsreader voice. And my last one, right? It says, on HIV prevention, little effort has been made to define who women at risk of HIV are. Nearly half of the respondents, obviously to this report, felt that barriers prevent them from testing for HIV, and no woman we spoke to had yet chosen to access PrEP. It says, we do know that women are not seen as a key target for HIV interventions. And isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they're just things to consider this International Women's Day. Lots of work to be done.
Great. Well, that's the rest of our year sorted out then.
Well, they did the report and now, yeah, we'll just get on it. We'll get on it.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, it's not a problem.
Speaking of HIV and International Women's Day, today we have I say it's a special guest anytime. Anyone that comes on the show that's not you or me, I keep describing as being special. Have you noticed that? The special guest, it's not you or me, so they're special. But we invited Chantelle, didn't we, our support worker, so she works across the east of Berkshire, to come and chat with us about working on the front line, which is why this episode is called The Front Line.
It's going to be an interesting chat, isn't it?
Got anything else to add, womanly? No.
Oh my God. Have I got anything womanly to say?
Yeah. Do you think this is why we're left out of key decision making?
I think it's why we're left out, as in us two. Yeah. Yeah, isn't it weird how public health never kind of ask us for our opinions as women?
Got nothing womanly to say. I'm not going to ask her. I heard the podcast. She didn't say anything womanly.
Oh, no.
That's fine.
I don't think I have got anything womanly to say.
Well, you're letting us all down on International Women's Day.
Well, I feel like I am now. I feel I should have some insightful comment.
No, she's glazed over. Right, should we bring Chantelle on?
Anything that's going to save this episode. This week, we are talking all things client support with one of our very own client support managers. It's Chantelle.
Hello everyone.
Normally we'd applause. Remember, all the microphones cut out the applause because they just think it's noise, so they just silence it. So know that we're applauding you, Chantelle, and thank you for being here.
It's lovely to be here.
Maybe I should cheer. Shall I cheer in future?
Oh, but don't you think that just sounds a bit... Oh, do a whoop, because I thought if I just went, yeah, it just sounds shit, doesn't it?
Maybe we can whoop together.
1, 2, 3. Whoop. You didn't
No.
do anything.
I just did.
Didn't even make a noise. You just opened your mouth. Right, anyway. This is how it goes, Chantelle.
Oh, good day to you, Chantelle. This wasn't in your job description, was it?
It was not, but here we are.
Yes. And you're here now, so you can't leave.
That's
I'm going to add it as we chat. I'm going to add it into your job description. The reason we wanted to chat to you is, well, I think sometimes client support is the forgotten element of what we do as a sector. So we promote HIV testing. We try and reduce stigma. We want everyone to understand about U equals U. And yet at the very centre of everything that we do is our client base. We want them to live well with HIV. And that's why we thought, let's put the focus on client support and find out a little bit more about what you do.
What do you want to know?
Well, on a day-to-day basis, let's start with that. In an average day.
Okay. Well, no 2 days are the same. Let's put it that way. There is something different every single day. So it isn't a one size fits all type of role. So you've got to be really flexible and really adaptable because things are changing all the time. So a typical day will start with me having a look at my diary, seeing what I've got planned for the day, going back over my notes from the day before. And I can hope that my day will go according to my diary, but that doesn't happen. So I will start off my day as at 9 o'clock I've got this, at 10 o'clock I've got that. But all it takes is one phone call from a client in distress, and it could be to do with housing, it could be to do with immigration. They could just need a chat about something. They could have a problem with benefits, a problem at work. And that puts the whole diary out. When you've got a client in distress, you've got to prioritise and you've got to do what you can for that client at that time. So, yeah, every day is different. And like I said, you could be doing housing one day, immigration, benefits, work. You could be helping a client make a complaint for something, like maybe contacting pals at the NHS. There's lots and lots of different things. So, yeah, my day is really about being flexible and adapting to every different situation.
You're spinning many plates, aren't you? Keeping many plates in the air and, just having, like you're saying, adapt at the last minute.
And a lot of it as well is remembering. So where, as a client support manager, where you're so busy and you've got so many clients and they've got so many different things going on, it's important to remember their own personal situation. So they might say something like, I'm trying a new menu tonight, or I'm trying a new recipe or something. And just that little personal touch of going, did you try that recipe last night? How was it? How did it taste? Do you think you'll do it again? So it's the little personal touches as well, and remembering things that, you know, that makes it individual to that client.
Definitely. If you can hear coughing in the background, that's my son. He's off school today. He's not very
I was
well.
going to say, it sounds like you're killing him. It's just like, that's my son, and something, oh, bless him.
He's got a right cough.
I know. That is a child in distress, and here I am recording the podcast. Should I go and ask him to sit in the car?
Be a bit harsh. I'm sure if people can put up with my dogs, they can definitely put up with a little bit of coughing.
Do you know what? I might just shut the door. I know he's fine, but he's just got a really annoying cough. Let me go and I'll shut the door. I've shut the door on him now.
Okay, so we've now locked him in the dungeon. Everything's done. That's how that sounds, doesn't it? Locked him out.
Put him outside in the garden, bit of fresh air. He'll be fine.
Ben always, whenever I'm ill, no matter what I have wrong with me, say even if it was a hangover, he has this real thing about being like, you need to go and oxygenate your blood. You need to get up, you need to get outside, no matter what is wrong with me. And sometimes when I had COVID recently, it's like, get up, go and oxygenate your blood. I'm like, no, mate, I'm going to stay in bed. Yeah, no thanks. No oxygenating my blood round here.
What does that do?
Oh, yeah, what does that even do?
What does it even mean? What does it mean? So, yeah, who knows?
Ecological thing of getting up and moving.
I mean, I think if you haven't got enough oxygen in your blood, probably need an ambulance.
But to be honest, I wait until he's quite ill and then I'll be right there, you know, like the dutiful partner being like, do you want to go outside and oxygenate your blood? Do you think we should be getting up and going for a walk? What are you doing? Why are you laying down? Get up, go out.
Appreciates it, does he?
Of course he does. Of course he does. All that saved up, you know, animosity about that. Who doesn't love that? Anyway, let's move on.
Anyway, right, back to client support. So, very reactive job role. Depends what comes in on the day. Could get a call from the hospital to say someone's been admitted, could get a call to say someone's been made homeless, or they've had a letter from the Home Office that they kind of need support with. But you also, alongside that, are some of the softer elements where, you know, that phone call to someone who's isolated and hasn't told anyone else that they've got HIV.
Yeah, so it's, you know, just keeping in touch with the clients. There doesn't necessarily have to be anything wrong with them for me to get in touch with them. It's just that friendly, hello, how you doing, what you've been up to, that kind of thing.
But I think sometimes, because what often happens, because obviously we all work together, so we see sort of what happens while you're offering client support is quite often you'll check in with someone, won't you, that maybe you haven't heard with for a bit. Like you're saying, just say, oh, hey, how's everything going? And then you will find there's an issue that maybe they haven't spoken to anyone about, or something that you can help them with. And so some of it is around, just doing those check-ins and recognizing, you're able to recognize when someone needs that little bit of extra support.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's all about unpicking. Sue calls it unpicking. So I've taken that term on as well. And essentially that is what you're doing. If you phone somebody that you haven't heard from a while, sound a bit off, I try not to be direct and go, you know, what's wrong? You don't sound yourself. It's just gradually teasing it out of them. And then once they're comfortable, they'll say, I've had this issue, I've had that issue. And then it's not about taking control of that for them. It's about making a pathway for them and giving them options of, you know, do you want some support with this? Do you need help with that? And these are the things that we can do. Because sometimes they don't always want to call up with their problems. They, you know, I've had clients say to me, God, I feel like I'm bombarding you every day. There's something. And even though you try to reassure them and say, but that's what we're here for, that's our role, they still feel a bit, they don't want to bombard you. So it's about offering that reassurance as well.
Yeah. Do you know, I think it's really rare when someone is referred to us that they will instantly just divulge everything that's on their plate. I think you have to kind of build their trust, to build a relationship. And as you get to know them, more and more kind of comes out. And I think it's a real skill, actually, I think, to get to the bottom of what's going on a lot of the time. I think there's very few people that will ring up a charity, say, I need support because of this. I just don't think people do. It's not in their nature.
It doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes, yes. But even then, there's more to the story. It's not just that one element that they're calling about. There'll be something else and something else.
I had somebody the other week who was saying, well, why do people with HIV need support? You know, it's a long-term condition, it's manageable, so why is there a need for your service? And I was explaining about the kind of holistic approach that we use, that if you want someone to come to terms with their diagnosis, you've also got to deal with all the other stuff that they've got going on. Because otherwise it's just pointless work, isn't it?
But then you could say the same about, why does somebody need support with other long-term conditions, like if they've lost their sight or they've had a stroke, or it's, you know, it's more or less the same kind of thing. If you look at other charities that support people with disabilities and other long-term health things, they more or less do the same kind of thing, maybe not as in depth as we do, but the sort of the basis of it all is kind of the same. So yeah, somebody with HIV needs support the same as somebody who's had a stroke.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, what do you reckon, Jess? Are we all on the same page here?
Yeah, definitely. We're for sure on the same page. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Because we're almost talking like we don't really know each other, which is it's why I'm sat here like, this is so weird. And obviously we all spend an awful lot of time together. I think support work is it's just not initially what people think it's going to be, where it's like, like you're saying, it's reactive. It's having a greater understanding of somebody rather than just going, "Oi, you, what's the matter? Let's fix it."
Yes.
It's so much more than that. It's so much more nuanced, and you do such a fantastic job. I know you mentioned Sue earlier, so Sue's our other support worker, isn't she? Who she covers North Hampshire and the west of Berkshire, and together you do such an amazing job of that balancing act of being kind and caring and, like you're saying, unpicking things, but also empowering people to be able to go, actually, I can do this myself, and I am going to go out and I am going to do that, and helping them build that confidence back.
Yeah. It's giving people the ability to make informed decisions for themselves and giving them that choice as well. And to know that they have got options and that there are things that they can do holistically and practically to improve their lives.
No, I think that sums it up perfectly. Well done, love. That's the end of it. No.
Well, that soundbite is it, isn't it? You're allowing people to see that they have options when perhaps they don't think there are any.
That's how sometimes it does get our clients. It really gets them down because they just think everything's gone wrong. What do I do now? Nothing's going right for me. And I know that can happen to anybody, but that's what we're here for, to kind of get them out of that rut and that way of thinking and helping them to move forward with their lives.
Because then they are going to manage their diagnosis, aren't they? And they are going to be responsible and attend their clinic appointments, because everything else in their life is either coming together or you're there to support them with it.
Yeah, and you do find that, occasionally there will be a client that something will happen, they'll get quite down about it, so then they'll start neglecting their health, not attending appointments, not taking their medication, and it's trying to get them to recognise that that's really not helping. I know this is happening, but we still need to maintain and manage this as well.
Yeah, and we should say that part of your role is helping people that don't want to go to clinic appointments, that aren't taking their meds, trying to engage with them to find out why that is, and physically sometimes helping them get to the clinic. That sounds like you're restraining them and bundling them in a car. That is not what she's doing. But it is that thing of sometimes offering that. I'll come with you. I'll make the appointment. Let's go together. I'll pick you up.
But sometimes it can be a bit scary, especially I find with clients who haven't taken their medication for a while. They haven't been looking after their health properly. And it's a big, scary thing to suddenly go, actually, I need to address this now, but I don't want to go to the clinic on my own. That's why we're here. We can support them and go to the clinic with them and help them get back on that track. And then when they're ready, kind of look at why they stopped attending appointments and why they stopped taking their medication.
Such an important element of what we do. It really is. And not just clinical appointments. I think immigration appointments. If you're having to go and meet a solicitor to explain that the reason you fled your country of origin was because of your HIV diagnosis, and you've not really talked to anybody else about that, having someone there to support you, it's crucial, absolutely 100%. Crucial.
Because as well, people in other agencies, so like immigration or housing, or people at the benefits office, they might not have that understanding of HIV and that the stigma's still there. And that's not nice for the person if they're to experience that. So having a support worker there with them that can explain and say, well, actually, this is what it's all about. This is why they've come to seek asylum, can help. Help tenfold. Goes a long way.
Well, you're the person in their corner, aren't you? As Sarah was saying, we have some clients who haven't told anybody ever, apart from us, that they're positive. So, you need someone almost fighting your cause and saying, right, come on, I can be your voice to begin with until we've helped you build that confidence back, and we will be there fighting in your corner. And that's what we will do. And that's such a big part of your job.
For me, it's an enjoyable part of my job because I'm advocating for somebody. I'm helping them fight, if you want to use that word, for what's right, for what they're entitled to. So that's a really enjoyable, important part of my role. And especially when you see the outcome at the other end as well, when somebody's been struggling so hard and you've been advocating for them, and you've been hours and hours of phone calls and online web chats with the immigration office and whatever, and then to see a result at the end is it's really satisfying. And obviously the client's happy as well.
Well, what you've done is help them to improve their life.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
I've had lots of clients as well say, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much. And we're not looking for that recognition or that thank you, but it's nice that they do recognise that with our support, they were able to get from A to B, improve their life, you know, knowing that we've done something to help.
yeah, definitely. So what you're describing, I found this out the other week when I attended a conference. There's a new phrase, it's called intensive client work, and they were sharing at the conference what that means. And I was like, I think Chantelle and Sue do that already. We've been doing that for years. Just hadn't realised it's got a proper name.
Intensive support worker. Yeah, I have heard it thrown about.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
And I think
it is intensive because you are dealing with lots of different things. Yeah.
And also, I mean, we know from some of the service users, so if a service user is either newly diagnosed or they have got low CD4 count or a very high viral load, there's lots of work to be done there to change that. And that's what you do.
Yeah. There's lots of reasons that they can find themselves in certain situations. You know, there's addiction. So like drugs and alcohol, people that are involved in chemsex but not recognising chemsex as an addiction, those kinds of things, you know. So it's looking at literally everything, not just one thing. If a support worker just focused on one thing, you would never get that one thing sorted, because the other things would get in the way and stop that one thing from being completed. So you literally have to look at everything.
That's another great soundbite, Chantelle. You're just doing my job for me now. Perfect. You can come in every week.
What about, because you mentioned the good bits of the job or the rewarding parts of the job are, you know, making a difference, seeing someone's happier with their life and they're moving forward. What are the challenges?
The challenges, something that I find really, really frustrating is when you get a client to a certain point in their life. It could be in their recovery from addiction. You might have just got them back on their medication and attending appointments again. The challenging and frustrating bit is when they have like a dip and something happens, so it knocks them off course, and then you're back to square one again. And it's sometimes you just feel all those hours of work you've put in to get that person to a certain point, for one little thing to happen, they could have had a row with their partner. They might have overspent their money and found themselves broke. It could be something even simpler than that they go back to square one and you're having to start that whole process again. That can be really, really challenging. And then when you've been working so well with the client and then they just stop engaging.
Yeah.
Which is also really challenging, because you want to find out why they're stopping engaging. 9 times out of 10, they don't engage because something has gone wrong and they've gone back to square one again. So it's those kinds of things that are challenging. And the odd client that they know they can do things for themselves, but they're like, no, I can't do that. I just possibly can't do that. And it's always trying to, you know, sort of big them up about, but you can do it, you know, let me help you, and trying to get them to do little things on their own as well, so that they feel empowered for the next task. Actually, I can do this myself. So those are some of the challenging things that we do come across from time to time.
Do you know what I think's a bit of a challenge as well? I think it's a bit of a challenge around how GDPR functions now. I'm not saying it's not great. I think GDPR is brilliant. It's really good. But we do have some clients who will, if they aren't having a great time of it, might on a knee-jerk say to us, I don't want you to have any of my information. Remove me from your database. Don't contact me again. By law, we have to do that. We have to take their wishes. Yeah. We cannot contact them. But then obviously they feel abandoned, I imagine. And then in a few months' time, they might ring up out of nowhere and be like, well, no one's got in touch with me.
The frustrating thing is that if they have, I mean, it's always good to have it in writing, isn't it? If they genuinely want everything removed, put it in writing to us. And then if they do, and you remove everything, you know, my memory, we don't all have this massive memory capacity. There will be certain things you do remember, but when they get in touch after a couple of months or so, you're starting again, essentially from the beginning. And then they get frustrated because, oh my God, you know all of this, you know, how long have you known me? And trying to make them understand, but you did ask us to to get rid of all your
That's
information.
the thing, isn't it? And I think sometimes it's hard for people to fully understand GDPR. And when someone almost pulls that trigger, that means we have to act on it. We're compelled
Of course,
to.
yeah, absolutely.
And, we don't want them to feel abandoned whatsoever. But that is a challenge, I think, in terms of this, because you're naturally going to have people who are having a terrible day and just out of nowhere, right, no, I don't want to know, and it's, I mean, that is difficult.
That is a challenge. I just thought of another challenge.
Oh, should we do this? Should we just make it the challenges podcast?
So another challenge.
Go on.
So when you get a new referral, it's that first contact. So I tend to send a text message first saying, hi, so-and-so asked me to give you a call, because I don't want to put in that text message. I don't want to leave a voicemail saying, I'm Chantelle, I'm from Thames Valley Support, Positive Support. We're a HIV charity. The Garden Clinic asked me to get in touch with you. You kind of got to tiptoe around it, because you don't know who else has got access to that client's phone. We don't know if that client's told anybody about their diagnosis. So I always start with text message. They respond, and then I take it from there. If I don't get any response to a text message, then I'll do a phone call. But I never, ever leave a voicemail, purely because, like I say, you don't know who's listening to their voicemails. You don't know who's got their phone. And it just kind of puts them in an awkward situation. Yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's little things that you don't necessarily think about if you're not working in it day to day. But it's like when we call clients, and we'll always say, are you okay to talk? Or we'll say, it's so-and-so from this centre. So that, again, we're not saying exact. You don't know if someone stood next to them, if someone can hear that phone call, if they've answered the phone in the car, someone's a passenger. You have to we just have to be checking in, don't we, a lot? Very mindful that we're...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've had phone calls where their parents said, who's that? Who are you talking to? And they've gone, no, it's my friend from college. And then, because I have got quite a loud voice, I admit that. And I have been told that I could hear you. You're in your car and I can still hear you on your telephone. So I will change the conversation to, how did you get on with that project then? Or how's your coursework going? Just, so you've got to be quick thinking as well. To not put them in a position where they feel compromised.
Exactly.
That's one thing we don't want to do. So work really hard on that when we first contact somebody. And it's at their pace as well. They might be at work. They might not want to talk. They might be sat at home with their family. They might not want to talk. So it's in the beginning, mainly all the way through it, really, you're doing everything on their terms to make sure that they're comfortable with what's happening.
Yeah, taking it at their pace.
Yeah.
You find, has the cost of living crisis made things more difficult?
It has made things incredibly difficult. So we are seeing more and more people are needing food bank vouchers. More and more families are needing referrals to the baby bank, referrals for school uniforms. People are kind of choosing between, do I buy food or do I put money on my gas, electricity? So it's hit clients very, very hard. And I mean, I'm talking about clients that work full time as well. There are people that work full time, pay all their bills, and are still finding they have to go to a food bank to have food to be able to survive, which really 2024, that shouldn't be happening in this day and age. It's difficult because somebody with HIV can be functioning, they can, be able to do every day-to-day things, and it has no impact on their lives. But then you've got other people that might be at a stage where they're quite poorly, so they've got lots of hospital appointments. They might not be able to use public transport, so they're having to rely on hospital transport, which is horrific to try and organise for somebody because they're so picky about who can and who can't have it. So that person might be using all their money up on taxis and getting Ubers to appointments and stuff. And then it's kind of like, well, do I go to my appointment because I'm quite poorly, or do I get some food to eat?
Oh, so bad, isn't it? It shouldn't even be a choice.
It shouldn't be a choice. Absolutely not. It shouldn't be a choice. But, here we are, and it is. And it's so sometimes a lot of our phone calls are around managing that as well and trying to find solutions to things. And it is, it's frustrating for everybody, the cost of living.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges from my point of view, is if someone's doing everything right, they've been diagnosed, they've come to terms with their diagnosis, they've gone back to work, They're managing day to day. Fantastic. Big thumbs up to them. And then they find that they can't afford, like you say, the utility bills or food because they're being paid the same amount of money, but everything's gone up. And all of a sudden they take a backward step because they're like, I'm doing everything that you've asked me to do or that I wanted to do. And my life's worse than it's ever been. Yeah. And then, like you say, they start going, well, actually, I'm going to blame this all on my HIV.
Yeah. And that's when they stop attending appointments, they stop taking medication, and it's just a vicious circle, isn't it? And then we just end up back to square one. So it's a lot of the job is, as well, is, like I said before, trying to get that balance right and help them maintain their lifestyle in the best way that we can.
Imagine if there wasn't a cost of living crisis and there's no recession, and
everybody would be happy.
Could put your feet up and have a cup of tea. Wouldn't happen like that, would it? Because the new referral rate in Berkshire and East Berkshire has just gone through the roof.
Exactly. If it wasn't the cost of living, it would be something else. There's always something.
That's very, very true. Okay, this is all very interesting and we could talk to you all day, and we will do it at the drop-in tomorrow, but that won't be recorded, so you can be at ease. But I know that you've got extensive experience in the voluntary sector. Is TVPS the best place you've ever worked?
No pressure.
Yes.
Correct.
I'm the best
boss I've ever had in the whole wide world. Yes.
Excellent. Because Sean listens to this.
Getting those sound bites.
I can safely say, in all honesty, genuinely, I feel like I have found my people. I feel comfortable around you guys. Just everyone's been friendly, helpful. It's just a really nice place to work.
Well, we love having you, and we feel very, very grateful that you're part of our team.
Good. I'm pleased. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Sorry, my dogs just keep barking. They're like, yay, Chantelle, she's the best.
Oh, it's like another car crash episode. Kids coughing, dogs barking.
Yeah. It's life, isn't it?
From your end, Chantelle, anything that you want to create?
No, my dogs are being quite well behaved. So.
Where's Emily? Emily, which, what an amazing name for a cat, is one of Chantelle's cats, who, a bit like Sarah's cat, Gracie, is often coming across the screen to wave her bum at us.
Emily's in her cardboard tunnel, which is on my desk, and she had a bit of a mad morning.
Really? Why? What happened? How mad can a cat's morning be?
She gets zoomies.
Oh God, yes, I'll tell you about mine in a minute. But go on, Chantelle.
She's had the zoomies, and now she's really tired, and she'll probably sleep till about 4 o'clock, get up, stretch, and be like, right, what are we doing, people? What's happening?
Wow. Well, what did Gracie do, Sarah, that's mad?
Well, because we've got a cherry blossom tree in my front garden, it's attracted all the parakeets, and they're noisy anyway. But this morning, the racket was just unheard of. And I looked out and she's in the tree. And I was like, please don't catch one of these. I don't know what would I do with it? I mean, they're big, they're like little baby parrots.
Yeah. So what was the commotion? Her trying to catch them?
Yes. And they didn't want to leave. They've stripped the tree of all the cherry blossom. They're all over the pavement. But yeah, she's after one of them, and they're just like, no, back off.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go outside like a wally and go, Gracie, come down, with a box of treats.
Did it work? Did you get her in?
No. She did come in eventually, and I was like, me and you, we've serious words this time.
We're falling out.
Cats can catch things much bigger than a parakeet. One of mine's had a pigeon once. I caught them on the CCTV. Early hours of the morning, strolling along with a pigeon in his mouth. He took it into next door's garden to
Oh my goodness. We're a bit pet mad, aren't we, at TVPS?
Yeah, 100%.
All of us without
another reason why I love it.
It's a good reason to love it. It's been so amazing to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Obviously, this is going out on International Women's Day, so it was only right that we wanted to speak to an amazing woman who is part of TVPS.
That's so nice. Thank you.
I mean, we're all women at TVPS, aren't we? We're a right little girl.
Yeah, we're all amazing.
Yeah. We are all amazing.
Exactly. So it's a perfect episode for International Women's Day. Agreed, Sarah?
Agreed.
Thanks for listening to the HIV podcast. If you enjoyed our podcast, please like, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You can now also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the HIV Podcast for behind the scenes insights and video. The HIV Podcast is produced by Thames Valley Positive Support.